Hello, welcome back to the Project Hercules Diaries. We have finished the plate here that holds the caliper on the front end, and I think that looks quite neat. I mean, it needs a proper polish, but I've had a bit of auto sol and I'm generally quite pleased with how that's turned out. It wasn't overly difficult to make, it just took a long time because there's a fair bit of cutting and filing to be done and a little bit of milling to be done as well, and then marking out the centres of the holes, these ones particularly, distance between there and the hole in the centre of the wheel spindle needed to be quite accurately done because the brake pads need to be in contact with the brake disc as far as possible, and the top of the disc doesn't want to be in contact with the caliper. So it was quite a complex job marking those holes. I had to put a slip gauge, just get the corner of the slip gauge in there to lift the caliper off. The same on the other side of 0.1 of an inch, so 100th slip gauge either side. I need an extra pair of hands to support the caliper, so I had to get my good lady in, and then the real brains behind this with a custom made punch that was a good clearance fit in the 3/8 hole to mark the centres of the holes, and it was really quite a faff. And then about 5 minutes after I finished, Uncle String from Raw Steel Choppers rang me up and says, "All right, Mark, I've just seen your last video. When you put your caliper on, get a bit of welding wire, bend it so it fits the profile of the disc, put it on top of the disc. You can pop the caliper on, mark out your holes, it'll save you loads of time." So cheers, String, you're about 5 minutes too late with that, but it was a really good tip. Raw Steel Choppers, if you remember, that's the company that made the frame and the forks, and I'm sure you'll agree they made a mighty fine job of that. So wholly recommended, and that's above and beyond after sales support. So great stuff. I'm really happy with that. It's a floating caliper, so when everything is clamped up, there's no rotating parts here that are in contact with the bottom of the plate, but there is a bit of a gap between the wheel spaces when it all clamps up, so that this is allowed to move slightly. So all of the braking force is taken up with the brake arm, none of it is taken up by clamping force at the bottom. There we go. So I'm very happy with that. Last job now is just to get some brake pipe, because I've put a master cylinder on. You can just about see that up there. So master cylinder's on, so just a case of ordering brake pipes, bleeding it up, and then we'll have a working front brake. So after that, it's a case of working on the rear brake and then really starting to think about that exhaust, because the list of big things to do before we can ride it is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Right, that's where we're at on Friday night as usual. Thank you for watching. More updates will follow.